Hello everyone, this is Rick. Welcome again to one of our Neo4j Graph Database podcasts. It's another remote session. I'm joined today by Michal Bachman of GraphAware. Hi Michal.
Hi Rick, thanks very much for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to have you on the podcast. And Michal, maybe people don't know you yet, so why don't you introduce yourself? Who are you?
Sure. So my name is Michal Bachman, and I'm the founder and managing director of a company called GraphAware, which is a London-based company dedicated to Neo4j consultancy, training, and development. So, being based in London, we're in a great position to sort of travel around the whole world pretty much, and help people succeed with Neo4j. So that's what we do for a living.
Absolutely. Well, I can hear the London police in the background, so that's absolutely great. Thanks, Michal. So, yeah, how did you get to graphs, and how did you get to Neo4j? Tell us a little bit about that, and what attracted you? What do you love about graphs?
So I started with Neo as a user pretty much about 4 or 5 years ago. I was involved in a few projects, in fact, that used Neo. One was a recommendation engine, and another one was an impact analysis solution for one of the large telcos. And I really liked the experience as a user, and I then went on and took a bit of a break and did a master's degree at Imperial College London, where I wrote a thesis on graph databases.
Oh yeah.
Quite inspired by Jim Weber.
Oh yeah.
And his ideas. So that was great, and I loved it. I loved the experience as a user. I loved doing research about it. So the natural next step was to start my own company that will focus only on Neo4j.
Oh yeah.
So that's how I pretty much started, and since then it's been every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And what attracted you most? What did you like most about working with graphs and Neo4j specifically?
So the actual thing that I like the most is surprisingly not a technical thing. It's the fact that when you introduce people to graphs, and we're doing that every day, you can see the moment, the moment in their eyes.
The lights come on, huh?
Yeah, the lights come on, and since then they're like, why haven't I used this before? This is not just like another 10% better way of storing data. This is like a complete game changer, and people seem to get it immediately, and it's applicable to every domain out there. So there's a huge potential, and I just like the fact that when people get it, they just fall in love with it.
Oh wow! Well, one of my actually just to follow on to that, one of my Dutch community members in the Dutch graph database community once told me, once you start working with graphs, relational databases feel like a youthful sin.
Yeah, it's right. And it makes so much sense if you think about it. Most people work with object-oriented languages, and objects are graphs.
Yeah.
Everything's a graph. So it just feels so natural after you've made that transition.
So tell me a little bit more about GraphAware now, and you guys have a wonderful graph framework these days, right? The GraphAware framework. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So we've been doing two things really. We've been doing consultancy, as you know. So we are involved in projects, very hands-on, helping customers develop software with Neo4j. And as we are gaining more experience about what the use cases are and what people need, we're distilling some of those ideas and experiences into open source extensions for Neo4j. Okay. So that's the two things, and the third one, of course, is training. So we're running also community events, but also public trainings.
Yep.
And we're seeing in the future we're seeing doing more of the actual extension development and open source software built on top of Neo. As the way to go.
What are some of the functionalities of the framework? Just 2 minutes.
So one that we recently released, and that's getting quite popular, and we've been running meetups around it as well, is a recommendation engine extension that allows people to build quite complex high performance engines on top of Neo. So that's one. And the other ones are quite technical. We've got modules for representing time as a time series data in Neo4j as a tree, and easy querying, and there's loads of other modules for domain specific use cases.
I'll put a link to the repo on the blog post to go with the podcast, so people can take a look at that. But let's maybe move on a little bit. Where is it going, Michal? Where are you guys going as GraphAware? But also, where do you see the industry going? Any perspectives that you want to share?
Absolutely. I think we're going to see, and we're going to see it quite soon, this technology being adopted by large enterprises, on a massive scale. And as that's happening, I'm seeing some enterprise features, more of the enterprise features being developed, whether part of the core product or as extensions, so that companies like banks, insurance companies, and so on find it easier to use. I'm talking about security here, auditing, and things like that. I see people starting to build whole platforms around the graph use cases, include graph compute engines in them, include other great software to build whole, data analytic platforms where the graph is the center of the game. And, extensions for impact analysis, fraud detection, recommendations, complete solutions. I think it's what we're going to be seeing in the near future.
Very cool. Okay, one more question for you, and it's the most important one. What do you prefer best, Belgian beer or Czech beer?
I have to be honest with you, I prefer Czech beer.
Oh my God, I can't believe that. All right, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Michal. It was great having you. And
thank you, Rick, for inviting me. I want to say one last thing. We're of course going to be present at Graph Connect. We're sponsoring the conference, 7th of May. We're going to be there. So if anyone's interested in having a chat with us, please come to Graph Connect in London, and we'll see you there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot, Michal. Talk to you soon, man.
Thanks, Rick. Bye-bye. Bye.